Welcome everybody to another thrilling, exciting episode of HomeKit Insider. As always, you've got me, Andrew O'Hara, and it is just me riding solo this week, so I hope that is okay. But it's gonna have to be because for next week's episode, I have something extra special in store once again for everybody. So joining me will be Giles Drew, and I cannot promise you that either of those names were said correctly. So I apologize, and I will get to the bottom of the pronunciation before we record next week's episode. But Giles is actually the CTO of ADT. He has spent more than 25 years in Silicon Valley working for companies like Adobe, Apple, Motorola, Zendesk, Google. He is part of the team that has been working on the Matter standard. There's so much stuff for us to talk about, so I hope you guys join in for that episode next week. If you have questions at all, be sure to let me know. You guys know how to reach me, Andrew at appleinsider.com, or over on Twitter at Andrew_OSU. DMs are open, or throw them up on the YouTube video version of this. It's youtube.com/HomeKit Insider. You can watch the episode there and then shoot me some questions, and if I see them, I will make sure I include them and we go over them during the episode. So that is coming. I hope you guys are excited, because I certainly am. Well, getting on to this week's news, though, we have a shocking amount of stuff to discuss. Starting off with what I didn't even realize was a feature in iOS 18. Last week's episode, I covered a lot of the new changes, right, that were coming in iOS 18 as it pertains to the Home app. Well, turns out we missed one, and that's because Apple didn't really publicize it anywhere. Apple didn't list this as a feature, probably because it points out its lack of use prior to now. But what I'm getting at is that with iOS 18, Thread is able to directly control your smart home devices. That's right. That's a very exciting thing for us, but also at the same time, it means before iOS 18, you weren't actually controlling your Thread devices directly. It was sending your Thread signal to your home hub, but then back to your smart devices. Now that is no longer necessary. Am I seeing a noticeable improvement here in expediency when controlling Thread devices? Not particularly. Not really. It's very hard to say. I don't know where stuff is getting routed. And I remember very specifically in my mind that when I talked about the original Thread radio that was in the iPhone 15 Pro, I said yeah, anecdotally, it seems maybe a little faster. I remember that. And it wasn't a night and day difference. And here, that's why, because it was never actually directly phone to accessory control. But that looks to have changed with iOS 18. Apple actually updated one of its help documents listing the devices that can directly control Thread devices. So yeah, local control for that. You don't need to have a hub, anything, and just go straight to that Thread device and control it. We already talked about the Matter devices in iOS 18. So with 18, you can add a Matter device to your home. You don't need a Matter hub or anything. You can just add them straight into your home and control them locally. No home hub required. So just kind of related there. But this was new. I had not seen this before. I have an article on it if you want to dig a little bit more deeper, and I put it in the show notes for you. Speaking of Thread and of Matter, Eve is out with the latest version of their Eve light switch. It is basically now Matter out of the box, Thread still, so really easy to control, especially with iOS 18. Not many other changes here. It's Matter out of the box, ready to go. No firmware update required, though there is the firmware update available if you have the existing switch. You can update it. If you have the Thread version, you can update to Matter. You're good to go that way too. But if you were, waiting for a switch, I of course always love the Eve products, and then this is an easy one to pick up. Next in the news is I'm excited for this. Govee has a new ice maker. Yeah, unless you saw the chapter art, I don't think you knew that's what I was gonna say when I started talking about Govee. But I'm legit excited about this. So I don't know how many people have seen the trends right now on socials like TikTok and Insta Reels and Shorts. but like ice makers are a thing right now. Like they're popping off like crazy. People are loving countertop ice makers. Maybe it's because the ones in refrigerators are pure trash. Mine certainly doesn't work. Samsung, why? Why? How? It was literally broken within months of getting like a new fridge. I love everything about the fridge, but those indoor ice makers, trash. Well, I guess Govee is hopping on that train with an ice maker. So why are we talking about it here on HomeKit Insider? Two different reasons. First, of course, it's app controlled. It'll give you warnings when like the water is low. You can turn it on or off as you need. It'll tell you when your ice is done. It'll make like 6 cubes at a time and pop them over. 9 nugget style ice cubes in just 6 minutes. And there are 3 different sizes of those cubes available. So it'll make 9 of them, pop them over, make another 9 every 6 minutes, and you can get alerted as this happens and controlled all through the Govee app. You can even change like the colors on it because of course you can. So app control here is what makes it worth talking about on the podcast. But here is what is interesting. When I reached out about this and I asked like, hey, like Matter has support for appliances in at least some way, right? Well, they claim that Matter will be arriving very soon to this in a software update. So of course you knew I had to try one of these. It'll be coming soon for me to test out because why the heck not? I want a Matter enabled ice maker. So we'll see how this works. We'll see if it'll still add to the home app. I don't know where that falls in terms of like the Matter spec 1.2 or 1.3. Or if it's even like a future version of Matter, because I've never seen the words ice maker listed in there, but I guess like fridges are. So this, I guess, could qualify as a fridge, and maybe an ice maker is a toggle on a fridge device, and they're getting around it that way. I don't know. The thing is $180. There's codes for discounts all over the place. Right now you can get $40 off that. So 180 comes down to 140. Compared to some of these ice makers, that seems like a good deal. Can't tell if it's good or not yet, but if you're interested, there is a link in the show notes for you to give this a try. Moving quite along, Onvis has a new product out on the market this week. So it is the IP66 rated outdoor motion sensor. So this is another Thread product. There are honestly a lot less Thread products than I'd like. So I'm happy to see another one. This is also one of the very few outdoor dedicated motion sensors. Historically, the really dedicated other one that I mentioned to people is the one from Philips Hue. It's fantastic. It's very, very good, but it's not cheap, and you do have to have a Philips Hue setup to use it. But that's the one I would recommend before this. But now we have a Thread-enabled one. It is the SMS2-OD. I assume that's for the outdoor aspect of it. $39.99 is what they're saying this is priced at. Very interesting here. It's got, water resistance, IP66 water resistance, 4-year battery life, that Thread pulling heavy duty work here, super low power draw. I think this is cool. I'm going to look into these. This could be super useful. This could be a very good recommendation. I've seen Onvis stuff go on sale quite a bit too, so I wouldn't be surprised if that price goes down from where it's at. So just keep an eye on it. Put it into your, what's that extent? Honey, put on your honey list or whatever, and it'll send you like a price alert if it drops. Maybe do that. But $40, I don't think that's bad by any means. So before we keep getting into the news, because we have a few more big things to talk about, like 3-4 big things that I want to get into, let's take our ad break for the episode. You know them, you love them. It is Shopify. Shopify, if you didn't have Shopify, if you just go back to before that existed, imagine what you're going to a website. Is this a good website? Is this a shady website? I don't know. Especially these days where everyone is selling really shady stuff. I don't know if I can trust anybody, and I'm afraid to put my payment information anywhere. I mean, everything's getting stolen these days. So I don't want to just put my credit card information to a website that I have not purchased from before. But when they're a website that is using Shopify, I know I can trust them. I know that payment information is going to Shopify, not to the merchant. That merchant cannot see like the credit card information or whatever. It's all done through Shopify to keep your stuff safe and secure. and it brings that level of trust to that website. So that's what you see as a consumer. You actually see trust in this website that you've never bought from before. And as the website, you're gaining the consumer trust by using and piggybacking off of Shopify. If no one knows who you are, you have kind of like credibility by using Shopify as your checkout process. Also, it makes it way easier. Like I've rattled off all these stats in this episode before of how much easier it makes conversions, how they have an AI assistant to help drive sales. All of this stuff is very crazy that Shopify can do. There's also the ability to sync your online and in-store retail presences and your inventory systems, and you can do in-store pickup so that people can buy online and pick it up in store. All of these things that Shopify builds in. It is such a robust platform, and it can sound intimidating. It sounds like a lot of those things like, do I need AI stuff? I don't know. But the fact is, Shopify is basically for entrepreneurs of any level. If you are just starting out and you're selling stickers that you make in your bathtub, that's cool for you. You can sell them online using Shopify. Or if you are a massive, big company, your Rothy's, your Brooklyn, and your Allbirds, your Nomad, your Moment, your all these other companies, great. You can use this to grow your sales, to scale your business. Shopify comes in all shapes and sizes for businesses of every size and every variety. There's so many more things that I can talk about. I love the Shop app and all the stuff that it can do, but you guys know it. You know why Shopify is amazing and why I talk about it so frequently on this show. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that we're seeing all these other companies use with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/HomeKit, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/HomeKit to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/HomeKit. Thanks as always to Shopify for sponsoring this episode. So next up on the news, we have our first ultra wideband lock. And before you get all excited and start hitting add to cart, no, this one will not work with the auto unlocking ultra wideband feature found in iOS 18. Those locks still don't exist. So this is coming from U-Tec. It's the U-Tec Ultraloq, specifically the U-Tec Ultraloq Bolt Mission UWB+NFC. Man, my mouth is drying out just trying to say that name. They are the first ones to add ultra wideband into a lock, and it will work with Apple Home as well as Amazon Alexa, Google Assistant, SmartThings, and IFT. So lots of support there, but it specifically doesn't support Apple's auto unlock UWB iOS 18 feature. They say that's actually coming in a different version of this lock in, I think, 2025. So like they're introducing this now. It has Apple Home support, and the UWB will like work through the U-Tec Ultraloq app, but it doesn't support like the native Apple Home one. I think that's a bummer. And if they're already announcing a new version like coming later that's going to support that, that's the one I'm going to wait for. I've been really like tilting. My wife always calls like the head tilt. Like you see something, you're like, that's kind of cool. That's kind of like you're watching like Insta Reels or something, and you're like, that's kind of you're tilting your head. Like I kind of want to do that. So I've been giving the head tilt to U-Tec lately, and some of the locks that they've had, they look very nice. So I've been really wanting to test some of those out, and I'm very excited about this. Maybe they will be the first ones to add UWB to their lock to work with Apple Home, and no one else will beat them to it. Maybe we'll see, Level Lock do it. Maybe we'll see somebody else do it. I don't know, but it's at least a step in the right direction, right? We know one's coming now, like a pre-announcement of the first one that is coming, just not like right now. So that's coming this year with a Lero auto unlock built in. This one's coming Q4 of this year if you are interested and need to pick something up now. Next in the news, Rolling Square, 2 new products that work with Apple Find My. There's the AirNotch Pro. They say this is the loudest, sturdiest keyring tracker with omnidirectional 360-degree sound, left behind reminders, and IP68 resistance for ultimate durability. Basically, it's a little bit larger than an AirTag, like for sure larger than AirTag. It is bigger. They have the same batteries that AirTag has, but there's like 2 batteries, I think, in there. So you're getting double the battery life compared to an actual AirTag. They have speakers on both sides. So not only do you have a speaker built in, AirTag speakers are kind of garbage. Like, they don't even have a speaker. They're just vibrating the plastic to make it resonate like a speaker. So like, that's like the fidelity of AirTags are pure trash. So this will sound better as an actual speaker, and there are two of them, like on both sides. You're going to get even better, louder sound out of this coming from all directions. So if it's sitting on something, it can still like have audio coming out the other way. So if one speaker is blocked, the other's still going to go. So you get a better battery life. It's a lot louder, omnidirectional sound. Of course, you're getting left behind alerts because it works with Find My. That's built in. IP68 rating. For durability, that's great too. Very, very good looking one in terms of specs here. Then there's the AirCard Pro, sleek wallet-specific tracker with a wireless rechargeable battery and digital ID features for personalized contact retrieval. I actually happen to have, this is not that one. I don't even know which one this is called. What does it have a name on it? Just aluminum rolling square. Like, I know this is one of theirs, but I don't know which one this is. I've had this for a little bit. It's very thin. It's got like glass on the front of machined aluminum. So this is just the AirCard. This must be a new version of that. So this is the AirCard. They have a new AirCard Pro, but similar tech. I actually really love the look of these things. They're like clear on the front. I'll put it at the chapter so you can see it. Very, very cool looking ones. They were a very early adopter of Find My, and I'm glad to see they're bringing it to more products like these. But they do some neat stuff here. So you have your standard tracking abilities. There's also like a QR code on there, and I think the new one has like an NFC one or something, so you can tap it and just pull up like your there's wallets and stuff that used to do this. Popple does this. So you'll be able to pull up your like digital business card. So you can like schedule an appointment with you or add you to contacts or pull up your YouTube channel, anything like that, just from like scanning QR code or tapping NFC chip, that kind of deal. So they're a new version of their wallet tracker with some extra features built in. My favorite thing is though that it's wirelessly rechargeable. So you don't have to throw it away. There's a lot of debate and I don't know which way I lean. So if you guys have a preference, let me know, because I'm curious what the masses are thinking, because they have their pros and cons, right? When you go rechargeable, it's really hard to get it as thin and have decent battery life, because some of the ones that have the rechargeable, like they only last like 3 or 4 months, which is okay, but it's just long enough for me to forget it until I lose it again. And I don't always get the 3 to 4 months out of it. I may only get like 1 to 2 months, especially if I'm using it super frequently. So I hate that like really low battery life compared to other ones that aren't rechargeable. Chipotle ones aren't rechargeable, but I know they'll last a lot longer. They'll send you a reminder when the battery is about to die, and then they'll just swap it out for you at a significant discount. And then they'll recycle the old one, reuse it, make sure nothing goes to waste. So there's pros and cons, and I don't know which one I prefer because I can find fault with both of them. I just need a rechargeable one that's going to last like 3 years, and then a guarantee that I'm going to get an alert that battery has to be recharged, because I'm not going to remember after 3 years. But as long as I remember to do it sometime in there, it'll be fine. Well, now we're getting into some rumors. So I am beyond excited for this, guys. I'm beyond excited because it sounds like those Sonos products are itching closer and closer to an actual release. I am very excited for these. So The Verge is talking about it. They say they have leaked details on the Sonos Arc Ultra and the Sonos Sub 4. Yeah, so Chris Welch doing what he does. This is awesome. Basically all the details here. They say they are coming out very, very soon. The Arc Ultra will support Bluetooth audio playback. They're also integrating some of the technology they got through that acquisition of Mayht M-A-Y-H-T Mayht in 2022. That's their sound motion technology. That's like what they bought in there, and either way, that's somehow going to be integrated into this new version of the soundbar. There's also some arguing on price. Is it going to be a higher price point, $999, $1,200, somewhere around those figures there? So it's definitely going to be a premium soundbar. But I love my Arc, so I'm really excited to see how they're going to do a new version, what's going to be substantially better. Then there is the new Sub 4. This is reportedly priced at around $400. The pictures I'm looking at, it looks quite similar. Big, huge. These things are massive, right? If you've seen the Sonos Arc, the Sonos Subs, they're not small. unless you're looking at the Sub Mini. But this is not the Sub Mini. It's an $800 massive subwoofer. The version they have in these leaked images is big. It is white. There's a rectangle cut out of the middle that is lined with black. But yeah, these look like they're coming out fairly soon, available in white and black. We'll see. It sounded like they were like originally like delayed because of all these app issues, but it sounds like they're still going to try to launch before the end of the year. So we'll see if that actually happens. Okay, so we had one listener question feedback that David had sent in. So this was from a couple episodes ago. I was talking about the Moen shutoff valve, and David says it's not an awful product at all, but he doesn't recommend that I buy one. He says they actually work really well considering, and he has them and he thinks they work really well, but there's a couple problems with them. So this is what he said. So what's disappointing me is that it relies on cloud API access. So not a big deal for most devices, but for an emergency, you don't want to rely on the internet being up all the time, and it still works and will shut off. And that's very true. That is 100% true, and something we always have to think about with smart home products. So there are valves that could be local. Aqara has some, right? That we've talked about those recently on the episodes. And something like that, it does give me pause. I love the idea. Moen does a great job with their stuff, but do you want to rely on the internet? So if a storm comes through here and it causes me to have a power outage for a few days, or takes out the internet alone for a few days, all things that have happened with annoying frequency, I wouldn't be protected with that shutoff valve because it would try to hit the cloud, it wouldn't work, and then that flood in my basement would continue to happen. Now, of course, it would have to be a perfect storm, no pun intended, for those things to kind of hit at the same time. Something to take out my power that would also cause a leak, and there's no internet available, like all those things to kind of line up. And I'm working on all of them, like trying to have a battery backup system for the house so that when there is a power outage, things are able to continue. Internet is run over cable, so technically, if the modem is able to stay up, because we have power, it should be able to continue to have internet. But all those things, again, have to line up, relying on cloud infrastructure to make that work. So the other recommendation he has is that's for Wes. But there's a few different ones. He's talking about using one with a Home Assistant to kind of run things locally. So that's a possibility there. There's other options out there too that we've talked about on the show. Now, this is for Wes, but basically he was talking about smart switches with smart hums, and Innovelli has come out with a Matter over Thread switch that has a smart bulb mode, so they always have power. That's similar to how they work with the Brilliant panels, which are now back, by the way, as we talked about. So Brilliant does this too, and essentially what some of these switches are, Innovelli and Brilliant, you tell the switch, like, what's it controlling? Is it controlling a regular bulb, like a LED or incandescent, whatever? And if so, it's just gonna, cut power like it normally does. But if you say you are powering something like a smart bulb, it actually just turns it into a button. And when you hit it, it sends that command to that bulb, turns the bulb off, but it's actually leaving power the entire time, which means you can use the switch, you can use your phone, you can use your assistant, you can use a schedule, motion sensors, anything like that, and they'll all work together. I really like that. I have not seen that Innovelli had that. I will try to look them up for you guys and put them in the show notes, but if you're looking for something like that, it could be an option. So thank you everybody for hanging out with me this week. A little bit of a shorter episode, right? We've had some long ones in there, so fill this one with a bunch of news, and we'll get back next week with a killer interview with the CTO of ADT. Send in your questions to me, Twitter, Andrew_OSU, Andrew@appleinsider.com for email, or YouTube.com, where you can also watch this episode, youtube.com/HomeKit Insider. Otherwise, please do what you guys do best. Leave me a 5, 10, 100-star review on your podcast player of choice. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next episode.